Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we have two of my favorite players going at it. Probably my favorite overall player over here in Sharp. Definitely one of the best Terrans in the world. And his opponent, a good friend of mine, it is Dewalt. This is kind of exciting to me because Dewalt is, in my opinion, easily the strongest non-Korean player. You know, maybe there would be some arguments for like Xiaoshui, Mihu, stuff like that, or some people would even bring up Bonith, but honestly, I have a lot of respect for the way that Dewalt approaches the game, the types of styles that he's trying to master, and really there's unlimited potential the way he's going. Like, I think he's like one of the more likely players to be able to get into ASL at some point. Like, the thing is, you know, like, there are people that are trying, right? Dewalt tries, and a lot of Chinese players try. And out of everyone that's trying, I really only think that Dewalt and Xiaoshui have a real road to get there because of how they play. And I guess you guys can let me know if you would agree with me or not on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm generally right about this type of thing. There's like a kind of a ceiling to the style that Mihu uses, to the style that Zhanhun uses, to a lesser degree, I would say. And Bonith as well. Even though these guys are all very strong and can beat pro gamers, you know, playing like kind of on meta and figuring out how to do the most flexible things is an important part of becoming a top player in the world. So, anyways, yeah, Dewalt going up against Sharp. Obviously, it's going to be Sharp favored, but Sharp is... you know, he is one of the best Terrans in the world without a question. And in fact, I prefer his Terran vs. Protoss to most people's Terran vs. Protoss. But there's some volatility in his style. He's not like a light. Like, light, maybe you can make the game almost look close against light. And, you know, then light kills you, right? And he's just steady and solid, just going kind of the same pace the whole time. You look at Sharp, and it's like, well, he might absolutely smash you. But then again, you might actually get ahead of him. But then again, he might come back because of the way he plays, right? Like, he takes a little less structured approach to the matchup, which I really appreciate. So anyways, he does scout Dewalt first. I'm always shocked with how good these Terran pros are at scouting their opponents first and being able to be greedy because of it. Sharp is going for the double depot gasless expansion here off of a single Marine. And this is a pretty darn good situation for him. You know, he's playing quite safely by getting that second depot, goes directly into the gas. And everything should be fine, right? There's no Zealot or anything like that. Nexus goes down in about 3 minutes here for Dewalt, so that's a very, very fast Nexus as well. And as you can see, it's not that far behind. So this is kind of a greedy build from Dewalt. There are ways to sometimes punish this if you're going for a factory expansion. It can be a little bit risky, but you can do things like the Marine SCV Vulture push, right, that you see against Nexus first. It is actually playable against this as well because they skip range, right? Range is really the way you end up holding everything. So anyways, obviously that can't happen because Sharp is playing a gasless expansion. Excuse me. Sorry, I have a little cold right now. Had it all week. But anyways, he is getting some Marines into the bunker. Should be starting that factory. Actually, a little bit late starting that factory. And I'm sure he'll go for a second factory very, very quickly here as well. Now, Dewalt going to send over a Dragoon. He does have range coming up. What? What in the world am I looking at here? That's kind of cute. So, Now, let me guess. I've never seen that, okay? 26 years, and I've never seen anyone do this, where they purposely send out a secondary SCV to repair the one that got away. Because a lot of times it'll get away, it'll have like 15 health or 10 health or something, and you can't really scout again with it. But if there's a Dragoon waiting outside the bunker, you can't bring it home either. So I think what happened is, as he was running away, Sharp sent out a secondary SCV, repaired it. This is actually kind of brilliant because then the high health SCV you can drill back and this won't be able to kill it in time because it's standing near the bunker. And then you get that secondary SCV to actually get a scout. Now, obviously, you're losing a little bit of mining time doing that, but that to me seems pretty brilliant, really. That is a very, very clever move with a gasless expansion, especially because keeping that SCV alive is pretty important. You really do want to try to get that secondary scout so you don't necessarily have to make anti-DT, which I believe he will have to make some anti-DT because we saw the probes block at the ramp, so he can't be 100% sure that it's not Dark Templar, and 75 minerals is better than dying. So we'll see about that. Double add-on siege tank on the way. Excuse me. And, you know, while you're repairing, generally you'll delay the gas a little bit. He didn't really do that here, but you see there's that safety turret against possible incoming Dark Templars. He didn't have to get it right away because range finished, so that, like, slows down the possible timing of those DTs coming out. So first tank emerges. He has 4 Marines in the bunker, so he can micro this pretty well. He doesn't actually float a building over this, so Dewalt has potential to kill it, and actually only gets 3 shots off on it, so not the greatest connections right there. Starts attacking the bunker again. He is causing a lot of lost mining time here for Sharp, for sure. Oh god, that was actually a very good idea. So the tank was sitting here and the SCV was slightly behind it, and it's hard to pull it back there because SCV is kind of fat. So he actually had to kind of move the SCV as well. So if you only click the tank and click it back, it's not going to go back. In fact, it might even go forward there. And then Dewalt gets the kill. So he takes some risks, doesn't actually get anything, takes some damage on his goons. I don't think it's a big deal. Smart moves there from Dewalt, though. Now, Sharp is actually... He's got his armory, he's making his missile turrets, he has a lot of siege tanks. And he's making a lot of siege tanks, like 5 siege tanks already. There's a possibility he adds 3 factories, and or even there's an older build where you go 4 factory off of 5 tanks like this, but it doesn't look like that to me. Yeah, and with the Academy starting, we know this is not going to be a fast timing push. Now, Dewalt has his 3rd Nexus coming up in a very, like, normal location, doesn't take any big risk and, like, expand down here or anything like that. I think that's pretty smart against Sharp because the odds of him hurting you for doing that is pretty high. Citadel on the way. And, of course, something we talk about a lot here. And he is going Reaver, by the way. But something that we talk about a lot... Ooh, he actually busts this bunker. The 2 tanks on the high ground, very, very smart. You can see Dewalt here is kind of punishing the fact that he has skipped siege mode for so long. You know, this is one of the big things you want to skip. The 2 big things you want to skip as Terran are turrets and siege mode anytime you can in the early game. And sometimes you end up paying a little bit for that. He loses a turret, a couple Marines, right? He loses the bunker. Not a huge deal. The amount of other things he was able to do with that money in that time was quite nice. So going to remake a turret now. And everything should be fine. So, anyways, I want to jump back up over to here. Oh, it's going to be fast Arbiter. So this is going to be 3 base Arbiter here from Dewalt. It is pretty popular right now, and Dewalt is very good with it. He has been using the speed shuttle style most over the past couple years, I would say, or year and a half, something like that. But, excuse me, the Arbiter plays are very, very popular in the current metagame. As we've talked about on this channel many times, you know, generally Arbiter is a good way to hold on against any factory timing pushes. You end up grinding out their scans with it very oftentimes, plus you have the possibility of a counter recall, things like that. Obviously, there's still play in that for Terran, because that's what makes StarCraft so beautiful, is that you can't just win things strategically, generally. There are a few things, right? You make a DT and they don't have detection. Okay, you win. You make mutas and there's no anti-air. Okay, you win. But there's not many situations that are actually like that, right? Like, those things sometimes happen. But, like, when you look at something like this, right? Like, Dewalt's build, if there's no command center that starts, if he just wants to push, which it kind of looks like he does, if Sharp wants to push, Dewalt's build is the correct build to beat it. Now, will he beat it is a whole different question. And that's in every matchup with everything, right? Like, you have the right build, but can you execute it correctly? So he does have Zealot legs on the way, which is very important. Huge part of holding it. What he needs to do here, because his base is pretty close. This is not that far. If Sharp gets here, it's going to be trouble. So he's got to force these tanks to leapfrog basically the whole way. A lot of that's going to be based off this shuttle. The Dragoons have to be kind of careful here. He can't be losing things. Ooh! Loses a Reaver right there. I'm surprised the Goons are so far to the south. I feel like they should have been up here. to help kind of poke things like this. So Sharp is getting closer and closer. 3 DTs on the way. This is I'm getting chills. This is very, very smart, the 3 DTs. I really like players that make DTs right before their Arbiter because you start forcing them to utilize scans. He needs to stop any missile turrets from getting into this general area. Probably a missile turret here starts to become a victory for Sharp. And I don't know if Dewalt's going to be able to slow that very much more. Oh, that is an insane scare. But in fact, that's the only SCV out here, so no missile turret going to go up. Oh my god, a DT walks through and drags mines into everything there. Kills off a bunch of units. And now we have Zealot legs as well. Look at this. He's going to run some Zealots through the minefield and then send another Dark Templar down. What do we have for scans? Okay, not 1 and almost 2. So he's going to have about 3 scans, right? And so you just have to work out 3 scans from him. So split 1 DT, start sending that down, get it down there before any mines get laid, or drag the mines sometimes. Okay, there's 1 scan. Now send another DT. The Arbiter's about to pop, right? So this is working pretty well. Dewalt is actually doing a pretty good job. He actually has too much of the army over here and not enough over here, I feel like. Oh god, if he ends up losing all these probes, then even if Sharp doesn't completely succeed in the push, it's still somewhat a success. So right now, Dewalt is killing off these 2 tanks. This is going to stop all reinforcements. Never did bring this DT back over to this army, but now he has the Arbiter, and this is where you start running 1 Zealot at a time in. And as you clear that minefield, you're going to be able to kill the tanks unless they start scanning. So does run those in again. Kind of surprisingly pulls this back. It looks like he wanted to specifically save the probes. But this is well, I guess there's a missile turret here. He definitely could have killed like 1 or 2 tanks if he had focused on that, but maybe he ends up losing a few probes there as well. So right now, Sharp is up on workers. He has that additional command center. He's actually adding 2 factories during this time. This is like excellent play out of Sharp. And in comes the attack from Dewalt. He is going to be able to clear this, but how efficiently is he going to be able to clear this? Not that efficiently. Like, to be completely honest, lets that turret finish, get some damage on the Arbiter, kind of nice. And, you know, Dewalt just doesn't have a lot of probes right now. Not sure exactly what that cannon is for. Okay, he's got to clear this area now. This is very, very important. Oh, things get worse. Sharp kind of rallying out. Yeah, gonna push these vultures out as well. I'm trying to come up with ways here for Dewalt to really fight back. The thing is, he needs his observer down here. He needs to clear all the mines, right? He needs to take a more forward position. The problem is that Sharp is getting this base. It looks to me like the plan for Dewalt here is a recall. And he does throw up a Nexus down here, but Sharp finds it pretty quickly. But yeah, he's going up towards recall pretty quickly. And once upon a time, a recall could sometimes end the game. I don't feel like that's the case anymore. I'm not even entirely sure what changed about that. Like, there's like a different tempo about the games. Now, it can still be like a decent comeback type thing because you do have to clear it. So it's going to buy you some time. So you see down here, Dewalt is clearing these vultures off. And what the recall may do is buy him enough time to get this base set up and then have a pretty solid 4-base economy. But as of right now, it's 3 base against 3 base, and that is just not where you want to be. EMP plus Science Vessel on the way, so Sharp really not missing a single thing here. And there is the recall. He does find his way in. Sharp actually already has a pretty good setup in here. I actually did not even catch that. Just kind of watching him clear out that other area. But that was dealt with way too well. Way too well. There's nothing left here for Dewalt now. Sharp is... I think Sharp's able to just probably attack move from here. Dewalt's still trying to clear mines on other parts of the map. Doesn't have that observer speed yet, so is running into some mines as well. Vulture's just making a beeline across the map. Going to try to get some of these probes, and in fact might be able to slip in. Yeah, they start to to jot away and throw down some mines as well. This is a move Sharp loves, moving out way forward with his Goliaths plus Science Vessel, trying to pick off any observers that may be out there, really limiting the vision. You can really see some beauty in Sharp's play. Seriously, this guy is so good. Now, more Science Vessels are coming out. They're actually pretty even on the worker count, but this mining is not very good, and you really need to be a base up from Protoss to be even. When you're even on bases, you're behind as Protoss, unless it's carriers, right? That's the only thing. Like carriers, you can be even on bases and you're ahead. Everything else, you need to be ahead of base to be even, or ahead 2 bases to be ahead, right? That's approximately it. Obviously, there's different situations for different games, but that's generally what it is. And Sharp has done a good job kind of denying that with all of the pressure he's been putting on. Gonna go ahead, clear out some of these Zealots. Dewalt very quickly coming up with his Dragoons. He doesn't have a lot left, and GG is called. So a little bit of an anticlimactic ending. You know, Sharp putting out a beautiful, beautiful game, but I felt like we actually had a pretty reasonable spot for Dewalt, right? So let's take a look real quick, right? So he goes 3 base into Arbiter plus Gateways and Zealot Legs, and he has the Reavers to slow everything down. This is a very solid build. A lot of people use this, and again, it is... The theory of it is it's supposed to stop these pushes, and we're going to look and find out exactly why he didn't stop this push, right? So here's what you need to do. The Dragoons make it so that there's extra damage here and you can't just attack move through Reavers. Okay, that's kind of what the Dragoons do. They also kind of like zone out Vultures and stuff like that. The Reavers are what is making everything siege. So what you generally need to do is when they leave their base, you need to make them fully siege your army a couple times, and then you're going to have a good amount of speed Zealots out, right? That's just kind of the time it takes. Now, these are close spawns. Obviously, if it's cross spawns, you're going to have so much longer to do that. But let's take a look, right? Sharp starts to push. Siege. Dewalt moves back. Okay, unloads here. This is good. This is good. I really like the way that this is looking, right? And if you look back at his base, right, he has a lot of gates. 8 gates, very, very good. Some people go 10. He's gone 8 here. He does have his Arbiter started. And, of course, Zealot Legs on the way. He needs to basically delay till Zealot Legs and the Arbiter. So let's take a look, right? Now, this, I think, is the tough part, okay? He's moved way down here with the Dragoons. It might be he's trying to zone out Vultures that he thinks are going to come by, because you do have to watch for this, too. It's a little bit tricky, right? There are a lot of tactics with the Vultures, and this is where I see many, many Protoss players right now losing Protoss versus Terran with this type of build against this type of push. What happens is the Terran is kind of set in a position that it's like, okay, he might push at any time, but he's like kind of ready to go. And then Vultures come out. And if you over chase the Vultures, this army moves forward very, very quickly. Because if it's only Reaver, you can literally attack move that. Yeah, you'll lose a couple units, but you can literally attack move that. If the Dragoons are there, you cannot attack move that, right? So these types of tactics are this is what is ending Protoss players' games early. So let's take a look. See, way down here, he's pushing forward super fast. Look how fast he's pushing forward. The Dragoon's way out of position. He could not have moved that quickly if the Dragoons were up there. Would have had been some leapfrogs, right? Instead, he's getting up very, very close. The Zealot Legs still not done. Okay, gets a nice Scarab there. But now Sharp is very close to the position he needs, right? The Zealot Legs are only scary until you get up to the choke. Once you're in the choke and you can lay mines and it's a thinner area, much easier to grind out Zealots. Gets a very good Scarab there. Runs the DT down. The DT adds I thought were brilliant. But you can see that it's like, imagine if he was here right now and still moving up. And we have another 7 units coming out and the Arbiter and Zealot Legs. And there aren't mines here yet, right? These are things that maybe could have happened if he hadn't moved his Dragoons from here to here because of 3 Vultures. But again, it's tricky. I'm not saying that this is an easy thing, and normally I say a lot of things are easy for Protoss, but it can be a hard decision where they're trying to go up and lay mines behind your army, that type of thing, to screw you up, to chase you into that, and make you lose your whole army. But yeah, I think that what you can see here is as Dewalt starts to fix these problems, he is going to become a much more competitive PvT player against the very, very best players in the world, because this wasn't a terrible position a minute and a half ago. Now it's becoming a terrible position. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed. A big cheers to Dewalt and Sharp. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.